Get those Rumble Rant donations in or make a purchase at apforlibertyshop.com. When we get back, we're going to talk about a pact Robert F. Kennedy Jr. tried to make with Joe Biden, and then her reaction, Camilla's reaction, to Donald Trump at the Libertarian Party convention. We'll get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to wake up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at apforlibertyshop.com. So head to apforlibertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit petersonvoicestudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your founding flavors at apforlibertyshop.com. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson, and you're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericashow.com. Glad and thankful to have you here. Don't forget to click that like button. If it's your first time watching this show, we'd be glad to have you join us. The regular schedule is Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So click that follow button and come back and join us on the regs. All right. Well, which is the bigger news? Donald Trump at the LP convention, RFK's pact with Biden? I think we all know here. We are going to talk to the chair of the Libertarian Party at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. You definitely don't want to miss that. But let's hear what our friends of freedom here in Missouri think about it. Camelia Peterson here, joining us live for her regular spot. I guess not your regular spot, though. A little early today. What's up, CJ?
Good morning. I am happy to move my time around for the other guests you have coming in, because I'm pretty delighted that you've been having him on the show.
Well, you always complain that the red pill people who get the most attention are the people who are the worst, and so you and so this Aaron Clary gentleman, who has been named in a DHS document as an enemy of the state, essentially. Is going to join us at 8 a.m. Central Time, and he's out there in Las Vegas, so it's much earlier. Thank you for moving your time up. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Let's hit the big news. Donald Trump to speak to the Libertarian National Convention. Is this going to be amazing for them or a disaster?
Fascinated that the Libertarian Party invited candidates from other parties to their convention. And I'm just thinking, has this ever been done before? Like, has any party ever done this?
No, this is history. It's historic.
I'm really interested to hear Angela's explanation for how they arrived at the decision to do that. To me, it seems like, I know they're saying that it's not to try to get people to vote for him, but I'm not really sure what other conclusion you could come to. I mean, I think it's obvious that, yes, I know they extended the invitation to the Biden, campaign as well. Does anybody think that Biden is going to take them up on that? No, like, that's just not happening. But, far more likely, actually, that Trump would take them up on that, because Trump's not stupid. And he has courted libertarians before. And I'm sure that, his campaign is well aware that there are a lot of libertarians like you who are, willing to consider other things because of the urgency of getting Biden out of office.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect summary of it. Predictably, libertarians were upset. I wrote in my email newsletter yesterday, for people who are sign up for my my shop emails, that I thought it was a good thing. And I said, and I solicited feedback saying, write back, tell me what you think about it. And the responses were fairly predictable. I don't like Trump. Other people are like, oh, he's just talking. It's no big deal. But he could probably convince a lot of people there that maybe they should vote for him. I mean, on the negative side of things, it would be kind of embarrassing being a presidential candidate at that convention, running for office and being like, I'm going to run against Donald Trump, and they're going to get like 3 votes from even their own party. It's kind of an awkward situation. But I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Most of the candidates that are running in the LP this year suck harder than I've ever seen. It sucks to suck, but I mean, they're pretty god awful for the most part. Not all of them. Some of them are nice. I like Josh Smith, and that Mike Termott character is not so bad. That Michael Rechtenwald character just strikes me as just an oddball. But Yeah.
Well, and the thing is like that's kind of been the LP's problem in so many ways, is that you have lots of nice people who want to run for office and think they can make it, but I know a lot of very nice people that are very good friends, and they should not run for office, and they shouldn't run for president for sure. So, I mean, that's not enough, and we should be able to accept that reality. But it is, in a lot of ways, I think this is kind of a slap in the face by LP National to their own presidential candidates, because Trump is, a force of nature. He has a very dominating personality. And if you think that he's not going to completely overshadow everything in that convention, I have a bridge to sell you. But it is, it's fascinating. What will be interesting to me too is to hear what kind of tone he adopts when he speaks to the LP convention, because I don't know that his usual speaking style, you know, when he's having his rallies and things like that, I'm not sure that that will sell as well to, you know, big L libertarians. So I'm interested to see if he changes kind of his usual rhetoric and how he speaks to them. But yes, I did see that Dave Smith was commenting on Twitter that he actually thought that this was a good thing in a lot of ways. But I don't know. I can see the argument that, yes, this brings a lot of attention to the LP, but I'm not sure it's the kind of attention that you want and the message that it sends, because it basically, I mean, to me, it sends the message that we have no one really worthwhile to put up. So look at this guy from the other party.
Yeah, I mean, from a media perspective, it's a brilliant move. You know, since I work in the media and this is my strategy to advance the ideas, I think it's a good move by the Libertarian Party. But it's from a media perspective. But I think it actually is a bad move for them from an electoral strategy. I think that this is probably going to be a situation where the Libertarian Party has always kind of prided itself on taking third place in the presidential elections. But with the rise of RFK, and this might be a good segue, this might be the first time that the Libertarian Party in a long time has fallen into fourth place in the elections. And if Donald Trump convinces enough of the Libertarians, which is so ironic because of the whole Mises Caucus takeover thing, we're going to get more votes than Gary Johnson, blah, blah, blah. Those are the type of people who would probably vote for Donald Trump. I mean, the LP this might destroy the party.
Well, that's just it too. And this is exactly what the Mises Caucus, this was one of the criticisms leveled against them when they were, you know, going through their takeover, was that they basically wanted to turn the LP into the Republican Party. I mean, they're kind of feeding right into that.
Well, I mean, you know, listen, if they get the lowest vote total that they've ever gotten at this point, it's like at some point, like, you know, a lot of people have been driven out of the party. Certainly I left in 2017 and have been a Republican now for almost a decade, and I've learned a lot about, you know, actually getting things done in electoral politics. But the LP really has not been a party that is about, like, after having been in the Republicans for long enough, almost a decade, and having been in the Libertarian Party for a decade, I'm doing almost 20 years of activism. Good God, I'm feeling old. I could tell you that the approaches that both parties take are completely different, from the way that the activists operate to just the general mindset of the people who make up the political party. And so the Libertarian Party is different now than it was back when I was there in 2016. And from 2008 to 2016, when I was operating, it was a different party with some different makeup. But I understand the ideological makeup of the people who were in the Mises Caucus who took it over. And the promise was that they were going to build the party. They were going to make it bigger than ever. They were going to, you know, get a higher vote total than Gary Johnson. And so far, it hasn't borne out. Do you think that it makes sense to continue to have a Libertarian Party in this country, especially because it just creates so much confusion? I mean, Camelia, how many times do we have to put up with retards online who are like, I'm voting for Libertarians, small L. And you're like, okay, is that the party? Or they don't know. Most people don't know the difference. People who are in the movement don't know the difference.
Right.
We're surrounded by idiots, Camelia. Does it make sense to continue this strategy?
Well, okay, maybe not, but I think the value in something like the LP is what I think the value in third parties is in general, because I view third parties' role in the political world is not only are they giving an outlet for people who just can't make themselves line up with the two major parties, but I think it's also kind of like the catfish, you know, in the tanks of cod or whatever, where they keep them stirred up to keep them healthy and active and muscle until we get them to the market. And that is, you know, they keep the other parties on their toes in a lot of ways. And, you know, we saw it in the last election cycle when the Libertarians, even with an incredibly lackluster candidate, were accused of being spoilers and costing Trump the election. So I think that there is a purpose in that sense. I will say that one thing that I think Trump could do that would probably bring a lot of libertarians on board would be if he would make Tulsi Gabbard his VP. She was on a radio station here in Missouri this morning because she's had a book that's just come out. And she was outright asked, like, if he asked you to be VP, would you do that? And she was like, absolutely, I would be happy to serve in that capacity. And I think that would be a really smart choice on his part.
I kind of agree. I mean, as much as I have some beef with Tulsi on some of her opinions,
Sure.
that I think, she's still kind of a bit of a holdover from her Democratic days.
Yeah.
But I think there would be something unifying about a Tulsi Gabbard, Donald Trump ticket that you wouldn't be able to do with a conventional Republican candidate.
Yes.
And because Donald Trump is not a conventional Republican candidate. So a Tulsi Gabbard VP, I think, would absolutely bring along not only that token vote with your vagina female voter that, you need to have, but also a minority as well. So a token minority voter there as well. And the fact that she was a Democrat, an elected Democrat, and is pretty anti-war. That would probably do very good things for Donald Trump's ticket. Plus, who wouldn't love to see a rematch between Tulsi Gabbard and Kamala Harris?
Like, that would be amazing, right? I mean, she checks off so many of the boxes, and she is just a genuinely good person. She's a veteran. She understands, military issues. I think so she has a good perspective in that. And you're right. She doesn't think we need to be isolationists necessarily, but she also thinks that, we need to be very, very cautious, and that what we're doing right now is not in the interest of the American people. And, she just, I think she brings that balance that would be good. And I know she's more moderate on some things that we don't necessarily care for. But I will tell you, one of the things that's so important right now that she hammers home is about the weaponization of the federal government agencies. And like, she totally understands that. I think we have to have people in there that are willing to do the hard work to address that issue.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Boy, if you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, good morning. I'm Austin Peterson. Glad and thankful to have you here. Today's show is just absolutely on point. Camelia Peterson joining us live. She's outside of her usual time slot, but that's because she has generously gifted it to Aaron Clary, who will be joining us live in about 22 minutes to talk about why the government doesn't like him. And then Angela McArdle will join us at 8:30 a.m. Central to talk about why she invited Donald Trump to speak at the Libertarian Party convention and what that will mean for the LP going forward. Don't forget to please click that like button and follow the channel if it's your first time watching us. We'd love to have you become a regular guest. Let's switch channels here. Let's move over to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the spoiler effect. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. approaches Joe Biden, says that he's offering him a spoiler pledge, a no spoiler pledge, to drop out, do a poll, drop out if one of us is polling better against Donald Trump. I think it kind of shows that Kennedy really does kind of lean more Democrat than he does Republican. What was your take when you heard that news?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's sort of a last ditch attempt to, stay relevant. I mean, his campaign surely does not think that Biden would take him up on that. I mean, there's a non-zero chance that that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think it is a way, though, for him to show that he's willing to get the Democrat vote. And I think it's a way for him to like kind of call Biden, on the carpet and show Biden's unwillingness to listen to the voters. Because when you look at polling for whether or not people are in his own party, people who are happy with Biden, like, it's just, his numbers are incredibly low. In fact, I just saw a poll the other day from this last weekend that showed Biden's numbers, approval numbers right now compared to like presidents for, I don't know, the last, few decades. And he has the lowest approval numbers right now of any other president, at this point in their administrations. So that says a lot. And it does feel like, it's amazing to think that the Democrats are going to keep him in as a candidate. But I think that speaks to just how top down the Democratic Party is and how willing people are to just, we've always said this, the Democrats will toe the line. That's the one thing that the Republican Party and conservatives and libertarians are not going to do. They're not necessarily just going to toe the line of their own party. They will, we get accused of eating our own sometimes. But I think that sometimes that's a benefit in that it, we shouldn't just accept mediocrity and bad behavior in our own people. So it can be a feature, not necessarily just a bug.
Libertarians
it hurts us sometimes though.
Yeah, libertarians remind me sometimes. Do you ever see the movie Lion King?
Yes, a very long time ago.
Okay, yeah. Well, they remind me, sometimes libertarians remind me of the hyenas in Lion King. Right, and then like they all will like fight amongst one another, and then once they break up, there's one who's like chewing on his own leg. You know what I'm saying? All right, Camellia. So last topic, because I want to talk about this real quick before we have Aaron Clarey on. Aaron Clarey is a red pill kind of manosphere content creator. He's an economist. He talks about the issues that you and I have been kind of batting back and forth the last few weeks, red pill issues, men's rights issues. He's a part of the manosphere. These are new terms for a lot of people that we interact with in the real world. So I try and go slow, help people understand, because this is starting to bubble up into the mainstream. Now, when we talk about these topics, war of the sexes, if you will, I will frequently bring up Pearlie Davis, who says women should not be able to vote, etc. And you're always so mad that I'm encouraging her. I find her very entertaining. Not that I agree with her on everything, but Aaron Clarey is the name that pops up whenever we talk about red pill creators or manosphere creators that you respect and kind of look up to and admire. So, when I saw that his name was on this list of voices that the government wants to suppress, along with Pearlie Davis, by the way, and Fresh and Fit and whatever, I was shocked, but I guess not surprised that the government wouldn't want voices like this. What does that say to you, that the government doesn't want people like you and I to listen to Aaron Clarey? What does that say about Aaron Clarey?
Well, the government doesn't like disruptors. And I think that, the manosphere realm, the red pill realm, whatever you want to call it, I think these people are currently disruptors in our culture right now. And just because of the point where we are with feminism. And I think also that, on the liberal left side of things, that especially for them, I mean, we're talking about ideas that are just antithetical to the very foundation of what their movement is right now. And they have moved so far, like both parties have moved leftward. That's the reality. But the Democrat Party has moved very progressive, and inherent in that is, extreme feminism and all of the things that we see going on right now on the college campuses and with the transgender issues, so many of these cultural issues and what is happening in our schools, what our kids are being exposed to. That's their culture. And that includes the feminization of men and, denigrating men and making them lower, because, we can't just have rights for women too. We have to have rights for women at the expense of men, which when you hear like some of the original feminists talk, like that was never what they wanted. They wanted, women to be able to have, those equal rights, but not at the expense of putting men lower. That's not the idea. So, but that's where we've ended up, is the attempt and a lot successful attempt to do that. So I do think that they view this as a threat, both at a cultural level and a political level, because, politics is downstream of culture.
So Aaron Clarey is a threat to the gynocracy, the feminist understanding of the world, which has been forced on us through institutions using diversity, equity, and inclusion that goes back all the way to the time of the suffragettes and the initial women's rights movement, which, by the way, came alongside temperance, the prohibitionist, and now what I would call sex negative view that many of these feminists have. They're very anti anything men, anything masculinity. And I think that that probably has a lot to do with why they want to castrate many of these young boys. Do you agree?
Well, and isn't it interesting that, and I just didn't think about this until you just said that, but isn't it interesting that part of their whole premise seems to be denying anything that gives us pleasure as humans, or that like we can enjoy, like you will eat the bugs, you will enjoy nothing.
Yeah, yeah. You will live in the pod, you will eat the bugs. Yes, they don't want natural, healthy male-female relationships because that might lead to having children. And having children is apparently a problem because if they're having children, especially if they're white children, then that might mean that they're far right, as that article about the natalist conference was bemoaning this week we were talking about.
Yeah, it's just insane. We spent so long in this country, moving away. Like, it feels like we worked so hard to get rid of racism that we've come on the total other side, and now everything is about race and ethnicity and how you identify and everything else. And we've come full circle, it seems, and worse, actually, probably in many ways.
Mm-hmm. Aaron Clary was given a male supremacy scale metric. It's not just men's rights, not just fighting for actual equality. The DHS document says that Aaron Clary gets a male supremacy scale metric of 75. Well, I guess congratulations to him.
That's all?
I know. He's advocates for traditional gender roles with supporting, and they put it in quote, economic statistics, as if, he's not, whenever Aaron Clary talks about the statistics, they're not real economics they're trying to imply here. And they're concerned about his rising influence. He's known for his content that spans diverse interests, including salsa dancing.
Right? I think, to me, this is why I think Aaron Clary is such a great example, in the manosphere movement, because it's like he doesn't exactly fit the mold of what they assume that, macho, masculine men fit. I mean, the man dances like that's not in their picture. But I also think that we've talked about this a lot of times. It also makes him well-rounded, right? Men should be able to do, lots of different things. They don't have to, but I just had an idea, by the way, given that he's an economist, maybe Aaron Clary can be our Javier Milei.
I'm sure he would love to hear that.
There you go. That's my apology for tweeting what I tweeted about him. Like, not everybody gets my ridiculous sense of humor sometimes, but.
All right, Camelia. Well, we've got about 10 minutes until Aaron Clary arrives. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners or plug before we let you go today?
No, I would just say that, when people are talking about, red pill content and this whole conversation that's coming up in mainstream conversation now, again, like I listed some of them the other day, and unfortunately, I think I left Clary off. But I would say, it doesn't matter where you get your content, and you're not going to agree with everything, and that's okay. They don't even always 100% agree with each other. Like that's all right. And I don't know how, I stumbled across Aaron Clary, but several years ago, I just happened to stumble across his YouTube, and like some of the stuff I was like, he's exactly right, and other things I was like, but and that, I think so people like Aaron Clary, Rollo Tomasi, Ryan Stone, Rich Cooper, those kind of people are good sources if you want to know what this is actually all about. And that some of the people we've talked about, like Pearl and Fresh and Fit and whatever, I don't even watch those. They're just, they're ridiculous. They're riding the wave right now, right? I think we can probably attribute to them they get some of the credit for this becoming more mainstream, but I don't know that that's, that they are really, the meat of what this really is about. So I think the more we can elevate people like Clary and the others, the better. And so
well, it's kind of like Aaron Clary is like the Ron Paul, and Pearlie Davis is like the Rand Paul.
Oh, no.
We got to run, Camelia. We got to run. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you. You can follow Camelia at Rare Camelia. Well, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye, Camellia. I'll see you tomorrow down in Springfield. Have a good one. Was going to let her respond to that. All right. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the show. We hope you appreciate that. We're going to speak to Aaron Clary about his male supremacy score from the Department of Homeland Security here in just a few minutes. But I want to remind you that the bonus content has yet to be unlocked. And because I've got two awesome guests coming up back to back, I'm probably not going to have time to plug and let you know where we're at on inside like the window of the next hour. So if you want to see today's innovations that set us free mini documentary, you got to get them donations in either through the Rumble Rants or head over to ap4libertyshop.com. That's AP, the number 4, ap4libertyshop.com. So head over to ap4libertyshop.com. Get yourself something real nice, like maybe our Norm Macdonald Commie Gobbledygook t-shirt and a box of Founding Flavors coffee. We only need $50, I think, towards our $60 goal. So we only need $50 by the end of the show for you guys to unlock today's bonus documentary. If we don't unlock it, today would be the first time in ever since we started that we would not be able to see it. And if we don't unlock today's bonus documentary, I think it goes away forever. So don't, I know. Hey, I don't want to see it happen either, but it could happen. So head over to ap4libertyshop.com right now and get yourself something real nice from the merchandise store, and that's going to help us to unlock the bonus content. All right, well, we've got lots more great show to go. The male supremacist, of at least 75% male supremacist, Aaron Clary joining us next. Then Angela McCardle at 8:30 from the Libertarian National Committee. It's an awesome show. You don't want to miss it. The Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
The Cantina Crew, this is Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter. And I just want to say thank you for watching the Wake Up America Show. I've decided that Austin Peterson will be the new CEO of Twitter.com, effective immediately. First thing to do, though, is I've got to go and blast off into space.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government. Get off my back. Get out of my pocket. And let me have more control of my own destiny.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? You can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
It's me, you, anyone that wants to be.
There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist! Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins!
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. I'm glad and thankful to have you here. Appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget to click that like button and follow the channel if it's your first time here. We'd love to have you join the show on the regs. It's every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So make sure before you leave today, you click that follow button so you can come back and join us and make some friends, hang out, fight for economic freedom and personal liberty. That's what we're all about here. We are the morning crew, bright and early. All right. Well, we've been talking a lot about these men's issues for the last several weeks. I've been making our friend Camellia blush, talking about the battle of the sexes. And a lot of you may be wondering where I'm getting all these crazy ideas. Well, there are a little bit of economics behind some of the claims that I've been making. I know some of you think I'm just an evil, awful, hateful misogynist, but there are a lot of men out there that are struggling with dating, relationships, marriages, divorces, child custody battles. These arguments and these discussions are starting to go mainstream. You've heard me use the term red pill or manosphere. Well, one of the gentlemen who I've been listening to for years about these things, now the target of a government-sponsored report that puts him on the list of male supremacists. Now, he's got a C+ score from the government-sponsored report, so he's not quite like B or A level male supremacist, more of a 75 out of 100 male supremacist. His name is Aaron Clary, and he's joining us live. Good morning, Aaron. What's your beef? Why do you hate women?
First, there's no such thing as a good morning. Okay, I don't know. You're the self-made man, and I don't know why you choose to do a morning show instead of the 2 p.m. show. And you got your Parker Lewis can't lose shirt, but you're probably too young to even know who Parker Lewis was. But good morning. It's good to see you, Austin.
Thank you for getting up early. There's too much competition in the afternoon for this stuff, Aaron. So I decided to specialize and use my skills for good, not evil. So the Wake Up America show audience is eager to hear from you. What's the government got beef with you for? This DHS list puts you on a sort of like list of parade of horribles alongside Pearlie Davis and others who talk about men's issues, essentially labeling you a male supremacist. What's this all about?
Well, it took some research to do, but first, this is not a government list, and rarely do I want to defend the government, but the Department of Homeland Security. This is not the Department of Homeland Security list. This is, they paid some funding, they paid some government grant money to a group called Diverting Hate, and they then hired a bunch of academics to go and put together a report and a study on misogyny and violence against women and extremism. And through their research, they compiled this list of 11 online influencers in the Red Pill Master community, and I happen to be on one of them. So it's more of an academic list, which they literally call the male supremacy list or scale. It's the male supremacy scale. And for the past day, I have unfortunately been forced to read this report, research it, find out who's behind it and all that. And yeah, it's kind of been, it's been a royal pain in my patoot for the past 24 hours.
Our listener, Mighty Megatron, says, tell Aaron that Miss Musso from Parker Lewis was hot. Okay, let's not get off track, guys. And by the way, I am old enough to have watched that show and loved it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Aaron, who is behind this list? What is this group, and why do they dislike what you're saying?
So basically, it's academia. There's several different nonprofits and colleges and universities. There's the McCain Institute, Peril, which is American University, I think, University of Arizona. But all this is a group of nonprofit professor, doctorate, academic types who are looking for grant money. That's the short version of it. You don't have to read through the 55-page report to figure that out. And they, at one point in time, the group, or I guess the main group that got the funding is called Diverting Hate. They probably applied for some grant money through the Department of Homeland Security. And as best as I could put it together, these are, I do mean this descriptively, not insultingly, these are truly worthless people. They offer no value or skills to society. These, if you look at their degrees, they're just jokes of degrees, like culture and gender studies and sociology. And honestly, that many have masters and doctorates in them. And if you are an unemployed, worthless person who has no skills offered to society, you essentially become a white-collar panhandler. And this is a grift. This is what they're doing. So in order to rationalize what they did with this money and to arguably get more funding in the future, they got to say, oh, look, here is the boogeymen. Here are the bad guys. And so they came up with that list. And in it, either directly accuse these people of misogyny, which is to be expected, extremism, and implying that you are contributing to, enabling, maybe even possibly participating in domestic terrorism. One of the people actually has a degree in terrorism studies. And it's one thing if you were actually doing that. It's another thing if you might be some kind of character on the internet talking about issues that to some people are very important, and there is a sex war going on. And then all of a sudden you have been arbitrarily accused of being a male supremacist, and you're on the male supremacy list by these self-appointed academic hacks. And so it'd be one thing if you're accused of misogyny. I guess that comes with the territory. But when you start getting accused of promoting violence and then are adjacent to domestic terrorism, that's where a lot of the people, whether it's me, Rollo Tomasi, Fresh and Fit, Pearl Day, a bunch of people on that, that's where they're taking umbrage and issue. And so several of us, I know I am, are putting together responses. Some people are even considering legal action, although, again, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know on what grounds you'd sue these people. But that's what this is. This is a bunch of worthless, talented academics who are doing a grift, getting their funding, and this report is to rationalize. Look at how much work we did, and now they're presenting that to the Department of Homeland Security and for the public. Which, however, though, they have taken that report down, so I think the cat's out of the bag on that one.
He's not a lawyer. He's an economist and a salsa dancer. He's Aaron Clarey. He's joining us live right now, and we're talking a little bit about him appearing on a not government list, but a government-sponsored list. The money came from the Department of Homeland Security, made its way through academia, and they came up with a list of people whose voices needed to be suppressed. Now, this might have the Barbara Streisand effect, Aaron. This might actually get more people to look at what you're doing and to see the issues that you're talking about. The issues that you're talking about typically tend to be things like why the dating app Bumble is failing and having to remove the only thing that made it different from the other dating apps, because the reality is young people aren't having sex. They're not going on dates. They're barely hooking up. And a lot of it has to do with a culture that has put men into a situation where they are damned if they do, damned if they don't. So when you talk about men's issues, when you talk about things like divorce rates, how 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women, and you ask those kinds of questions, the questions that you ask, the issues that you're discussing, they're a threat to what we call sort of the gynocracy, or the feminist understanding of the world that has been foisted on us since we were children in the 1980s. When I was watching Parker Lewis Can't Lose, I had just gotten home from my indoctrination about how you should be sweet to women, and you should save them, and you should protect them, and they're special and they're different, they're all floating above us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the societal cancer has metastasized. People like yourself are the enemies essentially for pointing it out. I mean, the government can't have people like you talking about men's issues, because strong men with families to protect are the most likely to overthrow a government or to have a revolution. The government and the gynocracy, the feminist understanding, they want young men to be weak. They want us broken away from each other. They don't want us going on dates and getting married, because our farts and our breaths and our babies might actually contribute to global warming. Does that sound a little too conspiratorial, maybe too hyperbolic? Or?
No, there's elements to truth of everything you say. I'm sure there are people in the government and certainly academia who maybe consciously want to keep nuclear families. There is a war on the nuclear families by certain sects within society. I agree on that. The government does want obedient people, and I don't think the government is terribly worried about married men rising. And I don't think it's that. What I think is that culturally speaking, ever since about the 60s, women have been conditioned or heavily influenced by feminism, whether it's in the school or the culture, universities or what have you. And they've been fed this information that men and women, it's not that they're equal. Men and women are equal. They should be treated equally under the law, but that they're not different, that men and women are interchangeable, and that there's no differences between us. And what you'll find, I think this is the majority of the issues that we're running into, is that a lot of young women today derive their entire value from either themselves and their womanhood, or more of like a cult or a religion of feminism, than they do anything else. And so that's cute. That's a really quaint little fancy theory feminists have had for the past 60 years. But for the past 200,000 of human evolution and existence on the planet, it's been nuclear families and distinct and different roles between men and women. And when even it fails for women themselves, whether they still can't close the wage gap because they're majoring in completely worthless degrees, they're miserable and they're on antidepressants, whatever other metrics of failure or success you want to look at. When I come in and other people come in and essentially advocate for a return to traditional roles and traditional norms that we're genetically hardwired to have for our entire existence on this planet, that runs counter to their entire value system. And now I'm a misogynist. Like, for example, I'll make the point of, I do not advocate women go into STEM because I hate them and wish them ill. I recommend they go into STEM because that's in their best interest, and it will help them close the wage gap. I do not think that, generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, the best place for a woman is at the home taking care of the children while the father goes out and works. I don't say that because I want to oppress women and I want to bring them back barefoot and pregnant into the kitchen. I think that is genuinely what is in their best interest. Now, I'm libertarian. People could choose as they want. But if you dare say something like that women, if you want to be equal, you better go be equal and become plumbers and electricians and truck drivers and surgeons like us. Or if you want to be happy, maybe you should consider family, marriage, and love, and that God, heaven forbid, the man be the center of your life, and that's what you ultimately love. That runs counterintuitive to what they've been told now for 3 generations, and goes counter to their value system that they've had. And so from that, you get this super hypersonic reeing and accusations of misogyny and male supremacy. Now, in somewhat intellectual honesty, you get some people that do take it to a theatrical, almost to get clicks and all that. Like, oh, look at the sensationalism. So you start to drift into like a professional wrestling kind of aspect, and then you get and like, oh, and you would say things that, okay, now you're starting. I don't know if it's misogynistic, but kind of womanizing, kind of. Yeah, I don't know if that's right or fair. I could see where you get that, but nowhere is it like, oh yeah, put women back because we hate women, and get these women back and put them back in. It's not, there's not an actual hatred. There's either a financial entertainment motivation in some of the more obscure ones, or there's actual sincere concern about what's in best interest of women and society at large. And so that's why I think the rift and this sex war, among other battlefields, I think that is the main battlefield that you're seeing and where the controversy lies.
There are obviously like satire artists, or I guess you might say just entertainers who are taking the red pill manosphere rhetoric, running with it, doing so for the purposes of clicks. You know, you might consider them to be grifters, but I'm not really thinking about them so much, because I think people like that tend to come and go. They don't tend to last because they eventually get caught up in their own contradictions, and they stumble over themselves and they destroy themselves. But people like yourself, you've been around for quite a long time. And I think the reason why is because, you know, you have sincere convictions, you stick to your convictions, and then you've built your content around those convictions. And that's how you've managed to build up a loyal audience. It's the approach that I take here. Now, we're a little bit more bombastic, a little bit more fun, a little bit more silly. That's my approach. But I keep myself grounded in my principles. My audience knows who I am, what I believe, and that as fun as we might be, or, you know, as silly as I might dress, that underlying all of this is a very serious message that I try and get across, which is why I invited you on my show, Aaron, because I think that what you say should resonate with more people, and I'd like to have more people hear what you have to say. And there are some people, though, that they don't think that you should be allowed to have a platform. They want to deplatform you, and that's why I want to ask you this next question, Aaron, and see how you respond to it in regards to one of the latest videos you posted on your account. I was listening to it on the way into work this morning. I don't know who was voicing it, if it was AI, but it was talking about leftists being miserable. And you were at least this video was making the argument that leftists, cat ladies, and feminists, they, who end up poor and broke and alone, like there's no reason to argue with them or to fight with them or to debate with them, because they hate their lives. They've made themselves miserable. At least I'm summarizing what this video was. And in this video on your account on YouTube, you can clearly infer that there's no reason to have a Facebook argument with these people. There's no reason to try and do it. Just kind of like, just sit back and enjoy the decline. At least that's what it said, right? Just there's no reason fighting with them. And while I sort of agree that, yes, I had a leftist Facebook friend as well that I used to argue with on Facebook, right? So you can tell I listen, right, Aaron? I'm very, very carefully listening to what you're putting out. But I'm not willing to manage the decline, all right? I have a pregnant wife with a child on the way, a little girl who I recognize that my number one job as a father will be to keep her off of the stripper pole, to keep her off of Only Fools, right? And to build a better America, a more capitalist America, a more free America. Now, that might mean that arguing with my friend on Facebook might be a waste of time. But the people who want to suppress your voice, Aaron, they want to cancel you. They want to shut you down. They want people like you and I to shut up. They don't want conversations like this to happen. I mean, rage against the dying of the light, my man. I mean, the fight is it's worth the fight, especially if you've got kids on the way. At least the tone of that video seemed rather defeatist. Are you a defeatist, Aaron, or should we fight?
Well, it's I'm a stoic, and I don't have any children. So you are right. I have no vested interest in the future of this country. I will die, and that will be it. I never wanted children. So yes, and that's 100% right. I don't have a vested interest in after I die. But I'm also a stoic because I've been doing this now ever since I was a teenager in college. And I don't mean stupid college freshman parties where you're arguing politics. Oh, man, wouldn't it be great? It's like, no, there's a balanced budget. But more from an economic empirical standpoint, I tried to stop the housing crisis. There's the dot-com bubble. My career is all it has been doing is been arguing with people, Republican or Democrat, it didn't matter. And unless people are mature enough to sit down and say, okay, what does the empirical data say? The vast majority of people in America anyway are not empiricists. They are ideologues. They're emotional creatures. And if they don't want to believe something, they're not going to believe it. And I've wasted decades of my life and a lot of my career trying to get people, whatever, lose weight, get financially together, look, get balanced budgets and all these other things. And I realized all I did was I was wasting my time. And so from a viewpoint of a Stoic, it's like the serenity prayer, accept what I can and cannot change. And once you assess that they are not going to change, there's nothing for you to do. And what you have to do is focus on what you can change. And for those people who have kids or have a vested interest in one way or another in the country, you would obviously focus on your daughter or your children. You would focus on your individual household, what you could do. You would take measures and things to hedge and protect against a collapse. So I know one guy, he's got 3 kids, but he also has a homestead. He's completely off grid. He's teaching the kids how to, so he gets a family and all that. So it's a waste of time to try to convince these people. Otherwise, once you find out that they're idolized, for example, you could see it in the report of these people who came out with the male supremacy. Not a single one of these people have an interest in intellectual honesty or having a conversation. There's no, they're financially motivated. There was no, let's sit down and talk to these people or have a debate and get our message out on these guys' platforms. They are just rank and file ideologues to the point they are robots. They are automatons. They're like the Borg. They are not going to be reasoned with. And you could go ahead and try and reason with the Borg, but that's a waste of your time and resources. And so it may be dark and dire. You may be looking at it, oh my gosh, things are, yeah, and they are, but you're going to waste your time going up against the Borg instead of doing something else and preparing to come up with a better strategy that actually is going to be effective and practical. If in as little as it just protects your individual family, your individual self. And so that's where, yes, it's dark. A lot of people say I'm
little black pilled, right? I mean, but also self-preservation, Aaron. Remember, these people want to take away your right to make a living. They want to deplatform you. I mean, what would you do if one day you weren't able to have a bank account because you appeared on some male supremacy score list that the DHS sponsor in academia? I mean, at that point, you might say, it might be time to fight. I don't have any kids, but like,
it's time to fight. Yeah, if I'm still around and they essentially try to make me a slave, yeah, there's lines that will be crossed. Like squatters. No, there won't be any squatters in my house. There might be a short period of time, but they won't be there for long. I don't give a damn what the law says. So there's certain lines that cannot be crossed. What I'm saying, you're looking at, yeah, and fine, they want to go and they take my rights away. So what I've done, I'll give you an example, is I'm writing an article, but it's going to be read by that same narrator as a counter to explain and expose these people. That's all you really can do. And yeah, no, these people are coming after you. And everyone keeps saying, oh, you're dark pill, you're doomer, you're so pessimistic. Yet then I keep getting proven right all the time. I'm not lying around just taking it. Now, this is why I woke up at this absurdly early hour in the morning to come on your happy-go-lucky with the colorful shirt show. Yeah, I'm not lying on my back. But at the same time, am I going to convince a single academic in that report that they did say, am I going to get the department? I might get the Department of Homeland Security to fund us instead, because I think we'd be a more effective force in fighting misogyny and violence and et cetera. Probably not, but I am going to the public. I am going to and I'm doing something. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I've done all I can. I've done what could be done. And then I'm going to go play some poker. I'm going to go watch some anime. I'm going to go for my hike. And then if I get whatever, oh yeah, you get deplatformed, fine. Then you go to Rumble, or you just keep on going on, because that was outside of my control. So it's life is not supposed to be a constant, consistent progress. Sometimes there's dark times. Sometimes society loses its communal bleep, and they turn on itself, and maybe one of those deals. So I am not, however, going to try and waste my time on something that is going to have zero efficacy. And so that's where I kind of focus on what I can and not what I'd like.
What do you think it is that you advocate for that really made you appear on that list? Because it didn't say specifically this or that or this, or, just essentially, it just called you a male supremacist. But what do you think it is that kind of puts you on their enemy list? Why do you think it is that these people in academia singled you out and targeted you for this list? What do they not like about you?
That is giving them way too much credit. If you read through the report and you look at the list, you realize that this is why I think it's a rank money grab. That list is not comprehensive, and there are other people that should be on that list. I'm a relatively smaller figure in the red pill community. I'm not unknown, but I'm real. If you read through the report, you find out they did incredibly shoddy, quick work on this report. They didn't spend any time thoroughly researching the top red pill influencers. The methodologies they came up with, they give you a score. You get a score of male supremacy. That methodology is a laughably stupid joke that has no veracity. It's just like, we feel like this would be male supremacy. So the way I got on that list is I'm a sizable enough influencer. I think they just looked and found, oh, these people are together. Those people, oh, who's this guy? Oh, yeah, throw him on the list. To figure out if you had male supremacy content, they listened to your top 5 videos. I'm like, what about the literal 5,000 other videos I have? It's by coincidence and statistical luck of the draw that I ended up on this list. Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate. Yes, those are the bigger ones you could find. But you look like at some of these, I thought I know my industry pretty well. I'm like, well, who the hell is this guy over here? So that's what it is. They didn't seek, we're going to get that wascally Aaron Clary. They're lazy academics who just compiled a list of 11. What's 11? Why 11? Why not 12? Why not 10? Is that a statistically significant? No. And it's a boring report to read through. But if you read through the report, this is like a third grader writing a book report. It's pretty bad. And you see there was no serious academic rigor or intelligence that went into it.
See, this is why I can't buy into the conspiracy theory version of most events, because the government is full and the academia are full of a bunch of retards who don't do their homework. They sure as hell could never pull off something like 9/11. Aaron, where could people follow your work and find out more about what you're doing online?
You could find my YouTube channel. Just search Aaron Clary. I guess my flagship site is assholeconsulting.com if you got questions and things and stuff. And then if you want, you could find, I have several books on Amazon talking about a range of topics, and you can find them there.
Well, Aaron, I'm a big fan, and I'm grateful that you get up so early and join us on the stupid, colorful shirt show. I know it sucks, but the audience really needs to hear your words now more than ever. I'm a big fan, and I'll definitely be getting some of those books, so I imagine our audience members will too. Have a great day, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Austin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Aaron Clary. Let's give him a round of applause. What do you say? It's the stupid, colorful shirt show. He's a good guy. Makes me laugh. Listen to his, a lot of times content that I will create for the Wake Up America show is inspired by Aaron Clary. I listen to his podcasts typically around 5 a.m. in the morning on my way to the office, the studio, before I set up for the show. So I highly recommend that you put him in your rotation, but you still have to listen to the stupid, colorful shirt show. What do you say? All right. Levin214 wants to see the bonus content. He just unlocked it. Thank you. I'll put it in for you now while I go get Angela McArdle from the Libertarian Party to talk about why she invited Donald Trump to speak at the convention. What'll happen when he arrives at the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Wake Up America show bonus content continues the theme of innovations that set us free. Here we look at the history of gunpowder, an in-depth overview. Developed in 10th century China, gunpowder is one of humanity's earliest known chemical explosives, used extensively in both warfare and peace, such as in fireworks and construction. Gunpowder, often called black powder, is a simple mix of sulfur, charcoal, and potassium nitrate. Each ingredient contributes to its explosive characteristics, with sulfur lowering ignition temperature and charcoal and saltpeter fueling the reaction. Despite its explosive properties, gunpowder is a low explosive due to its slow decomposition rate and low brisance, making it more suitable as a propellant than as a high explosive. The origins of gunpowder trace back to Taoist alchemists in Tang Dynasty China, who accidentally discovered it while seeking an elixir of life. By the 11th century, the Song Dynasty in China had recorded the first official chemical recipe for gunpowder, incorporating additional ingredients believed to enhance smoke and other properties. Song Dynasty engineers were pioneers in developing gunpowder-based weapons, contradicting Western claims that gunpowder was not used militarily in China. The Mongol conquests of the 12th and 13th centuries played a crucial role in spreading gunpowder technology across Eurasia and Africa. The introduction of gunpowder to medieval Europe is debated, with theories suggesting direct transfer from China or through intermediaries in the Islamic world. Initially produced by grinding ingredients together, gunpowder manufacturing evolved with the European invention of corning in the 14th century, improving storage and handling. From the late 19th century, gunpowder manufacturing focused on grain standardization for specific uses in different types of firearms. Gunpowder elicited a range of responses, from being seen as diabolical due to its destructive power to being widely adopted for its utilitarian benefits. Despite some cultural resistance, the practical utility of gunpowder ensured its rapid spread and continued use even among societies that initially rejected it. The Catholic Church, while not banning gunpowder, appointed St. Barbara as the patron saint of artillerymen, indicating a nuanced view of its military use. With the advent of new chemical explosives in the late 19th century, gunpowder's role diminished, marking the beginning of its obsolescence as newer technologies offered greater efficiency and power. The history of gunpowder highlights its profound impact on warfare, construction, and technological innovation, reflecting both its benefits and the controversies surrounding its use. One thing is for sure, no invention has been more controversial, or been so important for the use of self-defense and revolutionary power as gunpowder.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here, and we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, you know, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
Good morning, everyone. Rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Glad to have you here. Click that like button. And if you're enjoying the content that you're viewing today, make sure that you follow before you leave. The Wake Up America show schedule every Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time.
It's a great way to start your day. All right, well, big, huge, enormous news. Donald Trump, former president of the United States, maybe the future president of the United States, set to join the Libertarian Party at their national convention, where they will be nominating their presidential candidate to address the Libertarian Party. They invited both candidates, but only one has decided to take them up on their offer. What does this mean for the Libertarian Party? Good idea? Bad idea? Let's hear from the woman who masterminded the event. Angela McArdle, the chair of the Libertarian Party, joining us live right now. Good morning, Angela. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been quite the ordeal to organize this and see the variety of reactions in response to Trump's appearance. But we are having former President Donald Trump speak at our national convention Saturday, May 25th, right after our presidential candidates have their debate.
So why invite your competitors to the convention?
Sure. So for 53 years, we've been trying to get into the debates, the national debate stage with major party candidates. It's never happened. Let's be real. It's probably never going to happen, especially with the way the debates are being handled now. You know, Donald Trump didn't show up to any of the primary debates. He just blew them off. Biden is just like a walking geriatric patient. I can't imagine that his handlers are going to let him do a debate with Donald Trump. This may be the closest we ever get to an actual debate. He's going to take the stage right after our debate. He's agreed to respond directly to a list of libertarian grievances, you know, with his administration and with government in general. It's pretty darn close. You know, I think we need to take this opportunity.
Okay. So I'm obviously people are divided, whether it's a good idea, whether it's a bad idea. I work in the media. I know how the game works. I think it's a good idea. I think the Libertarian Party was sort of struggling to find its place this year, especially with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. running and kind of like taking away some of that third party fervor. And so I wonder, do you think that from a media perspective, the Libertarian Party is going to benefit, you know, greatly from this? Is that kind of what the play is?
Yeah, this is going to be hugely beneficial for us media-wise. I mean, you have our candidates on the stage just a few minutes before he takes the stage. Media who comes to cover him they're going to be covering our candidates as well. It's going to be a huge boost for us. We need it. We need this win.
Okay, now on the opposite side of things, if I were running for president of the United States as a libertarian in 2024, I would probably be a little bit embarrassed because the way Donald Trump works, he sucks all the energy out of the room. It's not about anybody else, Angela. It's all about him. And frankly, I would think that this would be stealing a lot of attention away from the presidential candidates that you want to promote. How would you respond to that?
They've got a few weeks to practice and make it all about them. This is refiner's fire. You know, this is your opportunity to be like the very best. And I think everybody should try to rise to the occasion. And, you know, your point about him sucking all the oxygen out of the room and making everything about him, I mean, that's exactly what he'd do in a debate. So unless we want to just like hide from him and think, oh, you know, we'll never have any competition, you know, we might like that exudes loser energy to me. We got to try to be the best in the room. It's our house. It's our stage. It's our audience. We should be able to own it, you know, and if not, I think that's a poor reflection on us.
Now, hindsight is generally 20/20, right? But in regards to foresight, the possibility that this could backfire does exist. And when I say backfire, it could be that Donald Trump convinces a lot of Libertarian Party delegates not to vote for your candidate, but to vote for the Republican parties. Are you concerned about that?
No, I think that we have quite a bit of TDS in the audience and a lot of people who are just completely fed up with the two major parties. And that's why they're the Libertarian National Committee delegates. Most of our delegates are very committed. And, you know, we've got a poll going on our convention website, lnc2024.com. Already lots of votes there on the top issues that Donald Trump should be speaking on. I think people are definitely not Donald Trump fans, and they're very committed to trying to get their message across to him.
What do you think of Donald Trump?
I think I wish that he would get back on Twitter. That's, I really wish he'd get back on Twitter. That's what I think. I think he's hilarious. As chair of the National Libertarian Party, I've got to support our libertarian candidate. But I appreciate his willingness to come and put the media spotlight on us. I think that's a really great thing.
Do you acknowledge, Angela, though, that the Mises Caucus, which, is swept to power in the Libertarian Party, they, were part and parcel of your rise to the chair as well. A lot of Mises Caucus people supported you. Or do you acknowledge that many of the Mises Caucus supporters, who tend to be more right libertarians, if you will, might be more willing to support Donald Trump than their own candidate?
I don't know. I think the TDS has been a little infectious, but no one's there
even amongst Mises Caucus people?
Just a little bit, but no one's there to support Donald Trump. I can't imagine that we've been familiar with who Donald Trump is now for 8 years, and all of a sudden he's going to speak and we're going to be like, you've convinced me. I don't know about one speech on undoing 8 years worth of political work.
But you don't think that the Mises Caucus it would tend to be more favorable to Trump, per se, than they would be to, I don't know, a Chase Oliver?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, the whole point is to be in the Libertarian Party. They're less triggered, like they're not screaming and talking about how I've, ruined the party by inviting him. But I don't have anyone, throwing down saying, all right, I'm in for Trump. Like, they recognize that this is a media opportunity and a speaking appearance, and they're going to try to capitalize on it and do what's best for the party.
Right. For those who might just be tuning in now, I'm speaking to Angela McArdle. She is the chair of the Libertarian National Committee, so she oversees the institution to ensure the continuity of the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party's National Convention will convene. When is the convention, Angela?
It's Memorial Day weekend in Washington, D.C., so May 23rd through May 26th.
Right. And we're talking right now about the Libertarian Party inviting Donald Trump and Joe Biden to speak at their national convention over Memorial Day in Washington, D.C. Any love for RFK Jr.? Did he get an invite?
He did get an invite, and we're still trying to work out the details, so he might be appearing. And, Biden hasn't said no yet, so it could be, I could maybe be holding his hand on stage, making sure he gets up there safely, making sure he gets back down safely, getting him his favorite ice cream. But, we don't know yet. Maybe Joe Biden will say yes. Maybe we'll get Kamala Harris. There's all kinds of things could happen.
Why do you think Donald Trump wants to speak to the Libertarian Party?
Donald Trump and Joe Biden and his handlers, everybody right now recognizes what a critical voting bloc we are. They know that we hold a fraction, a good chunk, a percentage of the vote. And people are going to try their very best to try to get that vote. And that's just politics. I don't find that particularly offensive. That's a really good thing to know. And so, my perspective on that as well, come and take it. Come give us your best speech, not a stump speech. We want to hear you speak to us and our issues directly, and let the broader members and small L libertarians decide.
What are some of the issues that you think would differentiate Libertarian Party presidential candidates from Donald Trump?
In the Fed, audit the Fed. It was part of Donald Trump's 100-day plan. He was going to audit the Fed, and then it didn't happen. Peaceful foreign policy. Donald Trump, I think, has been one of the best presidents on foreign policy in a long time. He didn't start any new wars, but he didn't bring the troops home. There was still a lot that could have been done. People weren't happy with the arms deals with Saudi Arabia, the drone strike on General Soleimani. There's still quite a bit of room for improvement there. Not growing the national debt. I know a lot of stuff went down in 2020, but we had that COVID stimulus package that kicked off a massive inflationary hike. That's definitely a concern. And then Julian Assange, the CIA was basically trying to murder him under the Trump administration. I'd love to think that Donald Trump has had a change of heart since then, and he understands how horrendous the deep state is. But we'd like to see all charges dropped against Assange.
That's a pretty good summary. In terms of the electoral politic question, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I mean, running fairly strong as a third party candidate in many national polls. He might not be on the ballot in all 50 states. I know he flirted with the LP for a little while, ultimately decided not to run for the nomination. But does he kind of hamstring the Libertarian Party's efforts in this election? Sort of like a Ross Perot effect, where he kind of, is stealing some of the thunder from third parties that we might typically have?
It'll be challenging. It'll be challenging, and we'll see what happens with ballot access. And I wouldn't say he's officially out of our race until our nomination happens. But it makes ballot access more expensive. It definitely splits the protest vote, because plenty of people vote for the Libertarian Party candidate who are not party members, who are not libertarians. They just hold their nose in disgust and pick a third choice. So it splits that pretty considerably. So yeah, there's a lot at stake. And of course it totally messes up the conspiracy that I was a Democrat and trying to hand the party to the Democrats. So there's a lot of confusion now, right? Like Democrat or Trump supporter.
Listen, if you're not getting called every single thing, a communist, a capitalist, a Zionist, an anti-Zionist, a Semite, an anti-Semite, if you're not getting called at least all of those things on both sides of the issues, then you're not a true libertarian. Angela, I have a lot of friends in the Libertarian Party from my days. I spent a decade doing activism in the Libertarian Party, and there are some wonderful people there who are doing great things, and I wish you well. I'm an idealist, right? And I'm an ideologue, but I'm also a realist. And I sort of see what I see happening, and I'd be curious to get your reaction to this. What I see happening is a situation where Donald Trump is probably going to get a lot of libertarian votes, small L libertarian votes. People like myself are voting for him because the left, the woke left, is presenting an existential threat to the United States and to our way of life. And Donald Trump did a lot of libertarian things. He wasn't a libertarian like you and I are, but he did a lot of libertarian things when he was president. So I'll be voting for him this fall. Now, it appears as if the Libertarian Party at this moment is weaker than it's ever been, that the numbers and the fundraising appear to be diminished, at least from what I'm able to tell from outside reports. And I want you to give me an accurate assessment, at least as honest as you can be, being, the head of the LP, of where you think the LP is really at in this election, because the promises were that the Mises Caucus takeover would result in more members, a stronger party, and it would outpace Gary Johnson's vote percentage from 2016. That does not seem to be the track that you all are on. Can you be real with me, Angela? Tell me where you're at and where you see the Libertarian Party landing this fall in November.
Well, let's see. Without throwing anyone under the bus, we had a plan to get a particular presidential candidate that our members were very excited about, who has a lot of media connections and was going to do quite a bit for us. And he ended up not running. And that definitely left us in the lurch. And Kennedy is also presenting definitely a bit of a challenge. And it sounds like I have a toddler right outside my door. I'm so sorry. He woke up about 2 hours early.
The future we're all fighting for. But yeah, please continue.
So, it's going to be a difficult year election-wise, which is why I'm doing anything and everything I can to get things turned around and get us on a right track and get us off to a fiery start as we get into the general election season. Membership has definitely gone down a little bit as we've had a lot of internal fighting, and people who are much more culturally left, or maybe that's not even the right, people who are more politically centrist have decided that they're not interested in a radical party. And so there's been definitely a lot of factional fighting in the party. And we're really struggling right now to understand our identity. Are we a party that is going to carry on the message of our founders, or do we want to be a centrist third choice? And I choose radicalism.
I think that's a very good answer, Angela, and it's honest and it's fair. It is a shame that one person, depended on the outcome for the entire party. Certainly, you need a bit of a multipolar approach in a political party rather than a unitary focused on one single person in order for it to work. But the Republican Party has that problem now. The Republican Party is very unipolar right now. and will probably go through a similar realignment after its titular head is diminished and is no longer the head of the Republican Party. So it'll be an interesting juxtaposition for both parties. The Libertarian Party is ahead of the game, I guess, a little bit in struggling with that. And it'll be interesting to see how the GOP sort of defines itself in the future. My take on it is this, Angela. Donald Trump wants your votes. And hearing the sound of your toddler outside your door, I consider, my own child, which is forthcoming. And I truly believe that the future of the United States is in great peril from the left, from these protesters on campus, the people in 2020 who wanted to burn this country to the ground and still want to do so. And I do believe that Donald Trump acts as a bulwark. Can you at least say one nice thing about Donald Trump, that amongst libertarians and Donald Trump, we do all share the same enemies, do we not?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my loyalty has to be to the Libertarian Party, right? Because I'm literally like, I am the fiduciary. But Donald Trump is a much better person and president than Joe Biden. There's no contest, and we're all hoping and praying that if he's elected, he does, a good job. I don't think that any libertarian should be fatalist. As a Christian, Christians are told to pray for the leaders of the country, love your enemies. I don't consider him an enemy. I consider him like a political opponent. But we want him to do the best job possible, because I want to live in a place where my child has a good future. I don't want federal vaccine mandates. I don't want any of that crazy stuff. I don't want $30 minimum wage federally that crushes small businesses. Like, we want to prosper and thrive. And, to the extent that we push him in the right direction and make more of those things possible, I think that's a very good thing.
I think so too. And I think it was a brilliant move to invite him and the other candidates to the party, Angela. So definitely kudos to you. That was an absolute coup. Well done on that. We'll all be paying attention to what happens at the Libertarian National Convention in Washington, D.C. Angela, is there anything else that you'd like to share or plug before we let you go today?
If you're interested in attending our convention, you can go to lnc2024.com. And if you're interested in finding out more about me, you can go to angelamcardle.com.
You go angelamcardle.com. You can also follow her on x.com as well. I've tagged her in my pinned post for this stream today, so you can follow her there. Angela, thank you very much. Good luck. Congratulations on getting the former president to your convention, and good luck this fall.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Angela McArdle. What did you think? Send us a text at 573-319-1586. Again, the text lines are open at 573-319-1586. All right. Well, that was a remarkable interview, not just because I conducted it, but because I think Angela was very straightforward about where the Libertarian Party stands right now. And, my heart goes out to them. I feel bad for them in many ways because of the difficulties that they're facing. And the challenge that the LP faces now in 2024 is just Herculean. And a lot of the problems that the LP faces, some of them are self-inflicted, but many of them are not. And many of them are just that the American people are not there right now. The American people are not looking for less government. The American people right now have taken a turn towards the most tyrannical I have seen. And I'm not talking about just the government. I'm talking about your neighbors, right? Sit down and have an average conversation with a boomer at Hy-Vee, and you will understand how we got big government in this country. The generations before us have voted every single penny out of the public treasury to go back out to the people, whether it's through subsidies of agriculture or industry or government grants. It's not just welfare that goes to, the welfare whores that are having 20 kids. That's definitely part of it. Social services in this country will absolutely bankrupt us. But it's the corporate whores who take far more in government subsidy who go to feed at the taxpayer trough. The war pigs who take trillions of dollars, move it out into the deserts of the Middle East, or into the barrios of Eastern Europe and disappear it on pallet trucks once it gets there, launder it through their third-party institutions that they control, and then bring back to the United States into their bank accounts, or just leave them in foreign bank accounts so that they can go and jet off. And once they've destroyed this country and raped and pillaged everything that we have, then they will leave us bankrupt and in the lurch. I'm thinking about the future of the country. I'm thinking about the future of the United States. And because of that, I will have to sacrifice the idea that I'm going to get everything that I want in this fall's election. I have the heart of a revolutionary. Inside me beats the heart of a revolutionary patriot. There's a tricorn cap sitting on the edge of my aorta. And I'll tell you this, as much as it pains me and bleeds to have to do what I have to do this fall, I will vote for Donald Trump to protect the future of America from those who wish to burn it down. It's not pretty, but that's politics. Have you heard about Preserve Gold? My sponsor over at Preserve Gold is helping the Wake Up America show to stay alive and thrive. The future of the Peterson family in building a libertarian media network is getting closer than ever. And that's thanks to our friends over at Preserve Gold. If you're interested in protecting your financial security in the future, if a central bank digital currency does come to the United States, do you own enough gold? Do you own any gold? Are you even asking the right questions about how to buy gold? Why don't you send a text message today to Preserve Gold? Text the word liberty to 50505. That's liberty to 50505. My friends at Preserve Gold are doing a 30-day tryout with this audience. Levin 214, Mighty Megatron, Bitchmobile, they want to talk to you. And if I'm able to convince enough of my audience members to buy gold or silver from Preserve Gold, they're going to invest in the Wake Up America show in a big way. Ask yourself this. If you believe in the future of America, and if you think that the Wake Up America show is a good start at taking our country back from big government, then buy some gold from Preserve Gold today. At minimum, just get more information. So that way you can say, I helped to build the future of America. It's not just in our nation's best interests, it's in your own personal financial best interests as well. Text the word liberty to 50505. Here's how you'll know we're successful. If next month Preserve Gold is still around, you'll know that it's on like Donkey Kong. If we can convince enough people to buy enough gold, protect their own financial security, the Wake Up America show is going to go big time. It's not just going to be me. It's going to be me hiring staff. It's going to be me producing more podcasts. We're going to build a Liberty Media Network. Sometimes that means that we have to sacrifice, though. That means that we have to do things that maybe we don't love or we don't like. But I'm asking you today to take a first step towards that freedom, towards that goal. Just text the word liberty to 50505. Okay. Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. All right. I got to run, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you. I mean, absolute killer show. I mean, just absolute killer. We had the big guests. We had the big topics. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't clicked like yet, please do so. If you haven't clicked follow yet, do that. We'll see you guys right back here tomorrow for Freedom Family Friday. Stephanie Peterson, Justin Peterson, the whole gang. We're getting the crew back together. And boy, little baby Hazel, boy, she's kicking like crazy. You guys are going to get to meet her here very soon. She's going to be born here in July. So May, June, July, a couple more months. She'll be here. See you guys tomorrow morning on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Wake Up America show bonus content continues the theme of innovations that set us free. Here we look at the history of gunpowder, an in-depth overview. Developed in 10th century China, gunpowder is one of humanity's earliest known chemical explosives, used extensively in both warfare and peace, such as in fireworks and construction. Gunpowder, often called black powder, is a simple mix of sulfur, charcoal, and potassium nitrate. Each ingredient contributes to its explosive characteristics, with sulfur lowering ignition temperature and charcoal and saltpeter fueling the reaction. Despite its explosive properties, gunpowder is a low explosive due to its slow decomposition rate and low brisance, making it more suitable as a propellant than as a high explosive. The origins of gunpowder trace back to Taoist alchemists in Tang Dynasty China, who accidentally discovered it while seeking an elixir of life. By the 11th century, the Song Dynasty in China had recorded the first official chemical recipe for gunpowder, incorporating additional ingredients believed to enhance smoke and other properties. Song Dynasty engineers were pioneers in developing gunpowder-based weapons, contradicting Western claims that gunpowder was not used militarily in China. The Mongol conquests of the 12th and 13th centuries played a crucial role in spreading gunpowder technology across Eurasia and Africa. The introduction of gunpowder to medieval Europe is debated, with theories suggesting direct transfer from China or through intermediaries in the Islamic world. Initially produced by grinding ingredients together, gunpowder manufacturing evolved with the European invention of corning in the 14th century, improving storage and handling. From the late 19th century, gunpowder manufacturing focused on grain standardization for specific uses in different types of firearms. Gunpowder elicited a range of responses, from being seen as diabolical due to its destructive power to being widely adopted for its utilitarian benefits. Despite some cultural resistance, the practical utility of gunpowder ensured its rapid spread and continued use even among societies that initially rejected it. The Catholic Church, while not banning gunpowder, appointed St. Barbara as the patron saint of artillerymen, indicating a nuanced view of its military use. With the advent of new chemical explosives in the late 19th century, gunpowder's role diminished, marking the beginning of its obsolescence as newer technologies offered greater efficiency and power. The history of gunpowder highlights its profound impact on warfare, construction, and technological innovation, reflecting both its benefits and the controversies surrounding its use. One thing is for sure, no invention has been more controversial, or been so important for the use of self-defense and revolutionary power as gunpowder,